Hey guys, it's your friend John here, and today I'm going to be making a spear, but instead of making a standard spear with one spearhead like I did before in the past, I'm going to be making a spear just like that one, only instead of one spearhead, it's going to have two spearheads on each end. So the first thing you need to make this double-headed spear is a broomstick, just a standard, nice broomstick. Or you can use a shovel handle or a long pole, something that's made out of wood that's long. The second thing you need is two knives. These are throwing knives. You can use any knife you want. You can use a standard knife or a throwing knife. Just make sure it has holes just like this, so you can use these holes to put pegs in when you put it on the wood pole. The third thing you need is a wood peg. Make sure you get a wood peg that closely resembles the holes inside your knife handle. So when you put it onto the main handle pole, it fits in nicely and there's no gap. Make sure it's not too loose, but make sure it's not too thick. You want to make sure it properly fits into these holes right here. And the final thing you need is cord, cotton cord, leather cord, wrap, lacing, whatever you want to use. I'm going to be using black cotton cord. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this bad end off on my broomstick handle just so it looks nicer when it's all done. Now that I got my bad end cut off, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use the belt sander, and I'm going to use the belt sander to sand down this end right here to make it more round and more smooth. Once you're done using the belt sander, take a hand file and just file the rest by hand for more precision so you can make the end more round. I have finished sanding it down. It looks nice and rounded. You can see there is a clear difference in the picture. And not only that, but I only had to do this one time because the other end is already sanded down and smooth. It was like that from the factory, so I only had to do it one time, which is pretty nice. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drill a hole on each end, and as you can see I put marker points where I'm going to drill each hole. Make sure the marker points line up nicely with the holes in the handle of your knife, so when you drill it in, everything lines up. Another thing, this peg right here didn't fit the holes into my knife. So what I had to do is I had to sand it down and make it skinnier so my wood can fit in the hole. You want to make sure it fits in there nicely so it's nice and tight. And you want to make sure that when you do drill the holes, you get a drill bit that closely resembles the shape of the peg you're going to be using so everything fits in nice and tight. So I got my holes drilled out on each side. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to draw a pencil mark, and that pencil mark is going to help guide me where I need to cut. So when I cut it open, I can place the knife in here so it lines up nicely with these holes once it's all put together. So when you finish cutting the handle open, and when you get your knife in, whether it goes in easily or maybe you have to tap it in a little bit with a hammer, make sure when you do get it in, the holes on the wood handle match up perfectly with the holes in the knife handle. As you can see, I can get a screwdriver in this hole and in this hole quite easily, and I got it locked in place with an Allen key. So it's very important to make sure that the holes right here line up with the holes in the knife. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but on the other side. Once you're done darkening the wood with the blowtorch, take your wood pole, put it in the sink, and get it wet, and then take some sandpaper and just start wet sanding. So as you can see, I got my knife in. It's all lined up with these holes. I got each one of my pegs cut down to the appropriate size for each hole so it doesn't go too far out. But you want to make sure you have a little bit of extra because you can always sand down that extra. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use this 24-hour dry Gorilla Glue and I'm going to pour in each hole and then I'm going to hammer in each peg. Okay, I have finished putting in the pegs in each hole. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Then I'm going to let it dry for a full 24 hours. Now that I finished hammering those pegs, what I'm going to do next is, because there is a gap in my wood handle, I'm going to fill that gap up with some glue. Then I'm going to put some toothpicks in that gap, and those toothpicks will not only fill the gap up, but will also give it good strength so it doesn't break apart or widen over time. Now I'm going to let the glue dry, and once the glue is done drying, I'm going to cut those little toothpick ends off, and then I'm going to file everything down, including the wood pegs as well as the toothpicks. Now, I'm going to start applying the clear coat, and as you can tell from the top where the blade is, I took a blowtorch and I darkened the wood so everything matches all together. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add my black cotton cord to my wood pole handle. As you can see, I got it nailed in right here, so as I'm putting it on, it doesn't unravel. So just take your cord or leather cord, cotton cord, whatever you have, and just start wrapping it around, and make sure as you're adding it on, you pull it nice and tightly so it doesn't unravel. There we go. Grip is all done and it's on nice and tightly. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Before I reveal what I just made, please remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, leave a comment, let me know what you think, subscribe if you're a new viewer, and if you want to help me get more viewers and possibly more subscribers, please share this video. And also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be aware every time I upload a new video. And don't forget to check out my older videos as well. Now, back to the main video. Alright, I got my double-headed spear all done. As you can see, I sharpened the blade a little bit so it's more sharp as it's being used, so it's easier to penetrate. And on the black cord handle, as you can see, I added some brown cord in the center. That's so my hand doesn't slip forward. So as I'm pushing it in, it's something that stops my hand from moving up and down. It's a nice feature just to have, and it makes it look a lot nicer as well. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to test my double-headed spear on Junkman Woody over here. I got a water jug in him filled with water, and I also put 4 layers of cardboard on the outside, and we're going to see what type of damage this thing can do to Junkman Woody. Who are you? I'm you from the future. I came back in time to warn you to be more careful with that double-headed spear because you hurt yourself with it. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Let me pull that out of you. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, I'm sorry about that, but who are you now? I'm also you from the future, but only like a couple of seconds into the future. I came back to warn you not to stab the older version of yourself. Sorry about that. Let me pull it out of you. Whoa. Okay. Well, now that that's done, let's begin the strength test on Junkman Woody. Time for you to die, Junkman Woody. So now that the testing's all done, what are my overall thoughts on this double-headed spear? Well, it's very similar to my standard spear, only with 2 heads on it. It's really good at piercing. It's not too good at slicing or cutting, but it will definitely pierce, no problem. This is 4 layers of cardboard with a water jug, and that's still pretty sick. And it was able to pierce the 4 layers of cardboard with no problem whatsoever. I don't really have too many complaints against the weapon, other than maybe it's a little too long, but it is a double-headed spear, and a lot of double-headed spears were kind of long, and that is a pretty good advantage. It gives you a long reach, so you can get the enemy before they can get you. However, I can see this weapon being a bit of a hassle in close quarters if you're trying to walk through a narrow doorway or a narrow hallway. Or not to mention, you can very easily hurt your own teammates or your own friends with this weapon, so it can be a bit dangerous to the people around you, but not so much the person using it unless you're really, really inexperienced with a double-headed spear. I got somewhat training, but I'm not an expert. And as you can see, there is no damage to the wood handle where the blade meets the wood. Even though I was striking it repeatedly against the wood part of Junkman Woody, there is no cracks, nothing's loose, nothing split open. So this weapon's still pretty strong, even when striking against wood, but this weapon is meant to pierce, not chop wood. And as you can see in the picture, there's a piece of Junkman Woody in the blade, so this blade is still pretty decent at cutting. So this blade was able to take quite an impact and quite a beating from Junkman Woody, but like I said, it's a spear, so I would stick to piercing, not chopping with this thing. So I'm going to wrap things up by saying thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh! That's what I was trying to warn you about, you jerk! Please remember to follow me on Instagram and also follow me on Reddit. Join my community on Reddit, but please don't follow me in real life. That would just be a little creepy.